All right, so I just want to let you know that young Alex Bassett is on the master controls of the cameras today and all the behind the scenes with Younger Life. He's alive, he's kicking, he's energized.
I wanted to ask him yesterday. I recall him prior to Younger Life wearing that stocking hat saying he was going for a haircut. Did he get his hair cut off?
I don't know.
I can't see him good enough.
I don't
in
know.
there.
Come on
Did you
over
get it
here.
cut
Come
off?
on over. You sit. Come on over. Come on, Alex. Woo! Hey, by the way, I'm Rick Federici.
I'm Mary Anthony.
And welcome to Younger Life. This is absolutely incredible to be here today. What a beautiful day it is to be alive. Let's see what he does. Here he goes. Let's go right here with Mike number 4, young man. How the heck are you today here with Younger Life? Are you in good mode or what?
Yeah, I'm fine, Rick. I did get a haircut yesterday.
Yeah, I can tell.
Big round of applause for the young guy.
Well, it was funny yesterday. I just listening to you on my way in yesterday. You were saying I'm tired of having a bad hair day. I'm getting it cut off.
Yeah, I didn't want to keep wearing a ski cap in. Or,
yeah,
well,
not as the temperatures
but look
warm,
at
right?
this awesome jersey.
Yeah, that's
the
really
Blackhawks.
Cool. One of your daughters is Blackhawk. Crazy, right?
My daughter is celebrating her 22nd birthday today.
Oh, well, happy birthday to her.
And thank you for saying that. She is a Blackhawks freak as you, I assume, correct? Yeah?
I would say freak, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. he would say, well, you're a sports guy, correct?
Yeah.
So are they going to take the cup this year or what?
Oh, man. Actually, I was filling out my brackets and all that stuff. Or you can fill out your bracket for the NHL thing.
Right.
And I was doing some like simulations and stuff. And as well as my friend did a simulation on the NHL game. And the Blackhawks didn't make it past the first round on either thing.
Oops.
And I don't think...
Just say
obviously
it.
I'm rooting for them, but I don't know if they're going to either. I think they might lose it in about 6 or 7 games to the Blues.
So
But we'll see. I mean, I'll be rooting for them.
It's on record now that it's recorded. Alex's predictions.
I'm that type of sports fan that will just go against. I'll say it.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
You know?
Well, it's okay to be.
Yeah.
You can be diehard and still be
Sure.
realistic. I mean,
Sure.
if you really think that your team, whichever sport you're rooting for, that's okay. So that's nice.
What do you do for exercise? Speaking of, hence Younger Life, sports are great for you. Do you do any kind of running, jogging,
sports?
working out? Do you play sports? Great question.
Yeah, when it gets nice out, I try to play tennis. Usually,
Tennis is hardcore.
with one of my friends that's just about as good as me. He beats me just by a little bit every time, so it keeps me motivated to. Eventually, I'm going to beat him this summer. And
Yeah, there you go.
I like that, young
yeah,
man.
we go out in
That's
LaPorte
nice.
where they have the lights. You can turn them on and stuff, so you can even play at night if you go on
Wow.
into the night if your game lasts long. So
That's
All
neat.
right.
And
That's-
tennis is rough.
That
That's a
should
hard
be.
game.
We should put our executive producer extraordinaire, Alex Bassett, on the challenge list, along with Jenny, Jackie, and Dwayne.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, not to challenge tennis. I stink.
Oh,
And
I'm terrible at
my
that,
theory
too.
with tennis is I feel like a dog just constantly chasing the ball.
You're running.
You know
big
what I
time
mean?
on
I mean, that
that
tennis is hard. That's great.
Yeah. Now
I was
you're-
just curious. I saw you in there. You were already in the production room,
Sure.
I guess. So I wasn't for sure about your hair, but it looks nice.
no,
Looks
thanks.
good.
Here's the question of the day. So after you get done with this, are you eating a little healthier? Because you do eat really good. At least I see you eating. You kind of eat a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
I have been compared to when I was in college, so I'll put it that way.
It's a learning process, right? It really is. Clearly, we're always learning.
Yes.
You know.
Absolutely.
It's nice.
So you enjoying your radio TV gig here at WIMS and Gerard Media and Younger Life?
Yeah, sure am. Yep.
Rock on, dude.
Good,
All right,
good.
get back in the studio. Get out of
Thanks.
here. Alex Bassett, who we absolutely think is primo. I mean, the guy is really, really great. So, Mary Anthony, tell me what's going on in your world.
Not
huh?
much. I know today we have it's a very large topic. We're discussing autism with April being Autism Awareness Month. So we're going to just start slow. I have big plans for discussing autism through the month. It's just a matter of getting all of that nailed down. So I figured we'll start slow by just discussing autism and some statistics, some theories, and kind of signs, symptoms kind of thing, you know, especially for first-time parents out there.
Agree.
It can be overwhelming. It's when you don't know really what you're looking for. It's easy to miss a symptom or sign. So
And
we're
I
going to
think-
discuss that.
And I want to throw this out there to you too. And I know because you and I chatted about this leading up to the show today. Really, I think people are, for lack of a better word, not baffled, but they're confused by really what is autism.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. It is, like I said, it's a very big topic, you know, especially doing a little bit of research and reading about it. It's a very broad topic, you know. But before we get into any of the heavy stuff, I was listening to the mayor on early this morning. You know,
Mayor
she's
Blair
awesome,
Milo?
right? and about Fit Fridays being starting this week, which I had already known. Your daughter's birthday's today, and I have a daughter that has a birthday tomorrow.
Awesome. Happy
So,
birthday.
so we're doing birthday party Friday night, so I will be unable to do the first,
Same with
Fitness
I
Friday.
got a big gig, so.
Yeah, so that stinks. I mean, as far as missing the first, because I really wanted to be there. I haven't ever done it, so I thought the first would be the most fun. But I definitely am going to take part in some of the others, and I think it'll be great. I was listening to you tell her about our experience yesterday at the running with scissors and other things you shouldn't do safety event.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
That it was great. It was very interactive. They kept calling it an interactive community experience, and it really was. It was fantastic. So I had a lot of fun with that. And
Can I throw out something that I thought was one of my couple of my favorite parts, if you won't mind me
don't
expanding on
give
this?
too much away. We're gonna air it hopefully Friday. So.
I that's what I said. I really want to air this
I
piece
know.
because I'm really excited. One of my favorite pieces, though, outside of the dog,
I know he was awesome.
beautiful.
I know he's
Beautiful, beautiful
so
dog.
smart.
Was that a German Shepherd,
Yes.
like Wolf, or just a
Oh, no,
German
just a
Shepherd?
German Shepherd.
Beautiful, big, gorgeous. And thank you to the folks that were out there showing us, giving us demos on that.
Yeah,
I literally got
he was
choked
cool.
up
Oh, he was
just
so
because
cool.
of the
I
loss
know.
of
Your
my
loss,
dog.
right?
But it was very interesting. The gentleman that was explaining to us, the officer,
Yeah.
him and his wife were out there. They just recently, over the last week or so, lost their dog as well.
They lost, and right, they had two just pets, and obviously not canine dogs. Although Rambo lives with them,
Yeah.
and said they had an old dog, and she had a lot of health ailments. It sounded like, but they lost her recently. So
the cancer of the mouth.
oh,
I was
yeah,
chatting with
that's what it was. I wasn't
know,
for sure.
the officer's wife about that. So
No, that's sad.
Yeah.
But they said, and Rambo, which is the canine dog, noticed the loss and missed her, but at least had the other at home because he's very social, they said. So
right.
that's
and,
sad.
And I think I want to throw this out there too while we're here on Younger Life.
Mm-hmm.
If you have issues or things that may affect you, death, or you need to talk to a doctor, a great partner of the show, LaPorte Hospital,
Oh, yes,
has got
yes.
some great programs. They've got a great website. We'll pull that up and let you know about that. But I have to tell you, I was thinking about this all night. I actually went home and washed my hands 5 times.
The germ thing,
That
I am
was
not
incredible.
Well, it's funny. I'm not a germ phobe at all. I think, what, really, we encounter so many germs every day and always
That's
have.
that.
So you do your best. Of course, you wash your hands. You try to not spread germs. Of course, I'm not going to run my hand up and down a banister, but for the most part, it doesn't ever freak me out. It really doesn't. Yesterday, I said, you guys, these little experiment we did.
Yes.
I said, I'm afraid now I'm going to be one of those like total freaks that says, oh, don't shake. I'm not shaking your hand. Don't touch me. I'm a toucher. I'm a hugger. I like to,
I as
but
well.
now I think, ooh, maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't be. It was funny. And I was kind of preaching to the kids a little about it last night, especially as 2 of my daughters were removing their contacts. I hope you scrubbed your hands like crazy.
The fingers, the nails,
It's funny.
everything.
And I do that. So it's just, it was good.
And
It was
I'm
a
all
good-
about, I'm going to show this, I'm at the camera right now, but she was saying lather your hands all around.
and in
then
between your
you were
fingers.
talking about, which I've never
I do
done.
this, and this
What
is funny.
that?
I've had children in the NICU, so they make you which is the newborn intensive care unit. So when you have kids in the NICU, they are the scrub process is very different. So you literally scrub up to the elbow. You scrub your whole hands. But when you're washing to make sure you're cleaning your nail beds right, they've always taught you this, so it just kind of sticks with me. It's been many years.
No,
but I
it's
still
great.
Do it.
This is great
So
info.
when I'm washing, of course, I make sure I have plenty of friction, on
Yes.
the palms, in between the fingers.
That's what she was
But
saying
I take,
yesterday.
For those of you that are listening and not watching, I take my fingers and put them in the palm of my other hand, like the tips of my fingers, and scrub around in a circle like this because it helps to wash the nail
I
beds.
never knew that. I saw you do that yesterday. I'm like, what is she doing?
I always
crazy
wash my
lady?
hands like that. It just, but still, so the experiment still showed me that it's not foolproof.
Blew me
Yeah, it was
away.
really cool. It was cool. They had
And
a
I
lot
won't
of
give
great
out
things.
too much, but I will tell you, you have to admit, even after washing our hands,
Yeah.
and thanks to the PNC Westville campus in Northwest Indiana, Peggy Rose and her
Nursing
whole stream, there were like
students.
32 of volunteers there, ladies
Yeah.
and folks there
Doing
in the
different-
program,
yeah.
and they were all awesome. But I was just blown away by the germs and stuff left on the hand. I'm not telling you too much, but it was awesome.
It was really cool. And,
Yeah.
we were fortunate enough, and we'll repeat this when we air
Sure.
the piece, to go before they actually opened. So it wasn't crowded yet. But by the time we were leaving,
Oh, yeah.
there were a lot of people. So it was difficult to go to some of the stations to talk to people, some of the tables, because we were trying to not be in anyone else's way and let them, and let them learn and, check it out too. So we were lucky enough that we were allowed to start before they opened. But it was very cool. And I know we left about, it was almost half.
I was going to say about halfway through. Absolutely.
It was about halfway
Yeah.
through. And I feel like it was very packed at that point, and that's awesome. And I hope it continued through the rest
Well,
of
and
it
one of the
because it was
things
such a
I
cool
had
event.
said, and you and I both know this, that is something where we could have done a 4-hour radio TV
my.
broadcast live. Because
Yeah, I
it
was
that
surprised
much,
there was so
that
much
much info.
Yeah, it was great.
know?
It was really good. I've not been disappointed yet to an event I've gone
Note to the
so.
producers, if you're listening and watching, you
It,
are.
It was great. It really was. It was good. So.
One of the things that I don't know how this worked, but you were in a boat with Bobby Petru from the Y,
Yeah.
and we were working together, which, by the way, that segment alone, which you will see with boat safety and stuff, I learned so much in those few minutes. But can I tell you the one that, how did I get stuck? I thought I was strapped to a chair,
I
this
know.
contraption, and I literally thought I was going to, float down. the stairs,
You looked
but
a little nervous.
I was.
I would have
I
been
was
nervous
scared.
as well.
Not a wimp.
It actually was part of that. The chair you were in is part of an evacuation tool
Yes.
that the hospital utilizes if they had to evacuate patients that are wheelchair bound or unable to take stairs, or if the
Sure.
elevator was out. So it was interesting to see you're in a chair and they are able to take this chair down a flight of stairs,
Right.
without tipping a patient.
We literally had an
so Rick
audience
got to
watching.
play patient. Yeah, he got
was
to be. It was
crazy.
really cool.
This is what
and
I-
I said I would have been nervous.
I was.
And yeah, it was.
I
it was
said
cool.
to Mary, I go, listen, if something happens to me and I fall on my head and crack it up, tell my wife I love her. And then the cute
It was
cute
cool.
lady from LaPorte Hospital was giving out T-shirts and greeting people. She's like, you are so cute.
Mm-hmm. I know.
She's like, and I'm like, I'm scared. I'm not being a wimp, but that's another great piece that
Yeah.
we will see coming up
We'll
in an
get to
upcoming segment.
dissect that. Yeah, soon. And I'm excited to share that. I feel like we've been talking about it for a while, and then with our tour through the Edith House, which was part of this event, we've already aired that, and that was fun. So I'm excited to do the whole reveal kind of thing and discuss all of our experience there. So that was fun.
Could you imagine, on a final thought here, after the dog and right around the ambulance time, the emergency stuff, could you imagine having your friends and people in one of those giant ambulances? I didn't realize how big it was and how incredibly full of machines. Like
I
the
know.
heart
It's an
machines.
ER on
Oh
wheels.
my-
I mean, it
is.
really is. It
was
really
great.
is. So that was really cool. And it's nice that it was family friendly, because I know the kids that I saw were so fascinated. They're so fascinated by police, by ambulance, by fire trucks. So to see them be able to tour something like that in a good sense, rather than something being wrong, is fantastic. That's something they won't forget. So that's really neat.
Wonderful. So we'll
Yeah.
find out a little bit more on that. Younger Life, of course, youngerlife.org/live to watch this, youtube.com. And I'm really excited about upcoming months. And as we travel, we do our field trips on the road.
I love the field
Love
trips.
it.
It's
So do
fun.
I.
It's fun.
my
We meet
favorite
so
part.
many great people.
we do.
I mean, whether we're having guests here or even Skyping with guests, I feel like we've met so many really cool people and learned so many really cool things.
How about the two spazzes of them all yesterday? Dr. Leva and our pharmacist.
Amy.
Oh, my God.
Cindy, the pharmacist, was
Crazy.
awesome. But Amy was with
Yes.
Dr. Levo, and they were all about wellness.
That was great. We got to spin
that
the
was
wheel.
fun. Yeah, it was a game, which we're all about. So it was fun, and we tied. I must say before, because we are a bit competitive, but we tied.
You know what? I'm all about, making sure that you're happy here on the show.
competition.
It's wonderful.
Fun competition. So
I agree.
It was good. It was a good deal. Today is not all about fun, but it is informational. It's important, and April is Autism Awareness.
Yes, it is.
Among other things, I'm constantly learning that every month of the year has many things that have adopted that month as their month of awareness for whatever reason.
Absolutely.
But autism affects so many people in across the world, really. But it seems to be I want to say newer, but it really is not a newer concept. It's just diagnosing has become much more
Present.
present, but I
In
mean,
your face.
I feel like it's more common, but
Yes.
it's because now it's more recognizable and there's been more standards set, and that's nice. So I'm going to give you the definition of autism first.
Please.
But autism is a mental condition present from very early childhood that can be characterized by difficulty in communication, forming relationships with other people, and using language and abstract concepts. So that's the actual like technical definition. But it does range a broad spectrum, and I like my favorite website when doing a little bit of different research. There's so many really great stories online, great resources for parents. I like the Center for Disease Control and Prevention because I feel like the CDC is such a credible, not that the others are not, but I feel like the CDC is something I've been familiar with. So I feel like, something I've always been taught. They're very credible source. So I like to look up, there's a lot of information and just different facts, so autism spectrum disorder it's a developmental disability. It can cause significant social communication and behavioral challenges. Is that for us?
Yes, it is.
Oh, fantastic.
So we'll continue
hear
the
the phone
conversation.
ringing.
Yeah. Let's jump on the line here. Star VIP hotline this hour, of course, brought to you by LaPorte Hospital. Good morning. You are on Younger Life. Who's this?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Doing great. What's up?
Nothing. Well, it is a big day. I'm going to see Judge Mathis in Chicago.
That's beautiful. So we are talking today here on Younger Life as we are live radio TV about autism and some of the things people kind of explaining the different sides of it and how it affects.
Okay, now you guys said it was a mental disorder.
Developmental disability.
Okay.
The initial
It's a neurological biological disability.
neurological, biological.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I know that because my daughter does experience it.
Okay, and how did you find out, if you don't mind us asking you, what age is your daughter? What range of age?
25-ish.
And how did you find this out? Was this something that you found out as a young child, or was this something that kind of the onset was more in adult years?
We found out when she was 33 months old. At that point, the percentage of people was 1 in 457. Since then, it's like 1 in 68.
Yes, that's what I was reading.
They did not want to give her a diagnosis of autism.
Really?
No, because they said it would be totally debilitating for, the whole family.
Oh, no.
So after, I think like 4 or 5 years, we finally went to Chicago, met up with a really cool doctor, and he did a ton of tests, and my daughter tested him.
That's cute.
And, that's when we got our final diagnosis.
How old did you say she is?
She's 25.
25. So, in more recent years, obviously.
And she's Asperger's.
Oh, she is. Okay, that's what I was going to ask. That's kind of where.
Can you explain that?
Falls on the spectrum, right? That's kind of where I get a little confused as far as the spectrum's so broad.
Mm-hmm. She's, to look at her, nobody would realize it. Mm-hmm. Nobody would realize it. We have worked very hard in our house so that she doesn't appear to have it.
Wow. That's fantastic. What kind of, when you say work, so was this work through the doctor that you were working with? I mean, is it
work through the
therapies
doctor,
or just?
Work through speech therapy. We put her in music lessons. Singing lessons.
Sure.
Anything to make her to socialize and to talk with other people.
What were the signs to you as mom? I'm curious about that because
Me too.
If we can help someone in the listening family or viewing family, we're trying to help folks and educate as we are getting educated as well on this.
Okay, now she was talking a little bit, babbling a little bit, and then she kind of quit. But they say never compare children. Mm-hmm. However, my 18-month-old niece was talking circles around her.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait a minute. she's not that shy.
Yeah.
So, we finally didn't get any really good conversations till age 5.
Really? Some of the symptoms on the CDC website that I was looking at says that some of these children, some of the symptoms to watch for, the child may not point to objects or show interest in, say an example they give is an airplane flying over. They may have no interest in that, or to not look at objects when someone else is trying to point them out. They are just kind of shut off to that.
Right. She wasn't like the total avoidance, but she did avoid things.
It's interesting you point out avoidance. It says the next one actually says avoid eye contact, and actually interaction with others, would rather be alone.
That's correct.
That was it. Okay.
And line up our stuffed animals. Everything had a place it had. You definitely didn't leave things out of place.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting. It says that they can be very interested in people, but they don't know how to talk, play, or relate to them. So
that is probably the main thing that we have worked towards.
Really?
And her friends now do not realize that. Somebody when she was in marching band, somebody said, "I heard there was a kid that had autism."
Oh.
And so, but then they tell me, "But guess what? She got cured because she's all fine." And I never said anything. I didn't want to say she didn't get cured, but she learned how to work with
to manage. Right. I think that's fantastic, and gives, girls statistically are diagnosed a lot less frequently than boys, according to the CDC.
Yeah, and I was reading that as well.
That is right. But we have run across a lot of girls.
That's good though. I mean, I think the support is fantastic and gives hope to other parents and families. And she's 25 and sounds like she's doing remarkably well.
She's 25. She's got an associate from a local community college. She's going to the big college on 421. She holds a job. She drives. She's fine.
That's
you know
fantastic.
what? One of the stats from the National Autism Association.org site, males are 4 times more likely to have autism than females. I have to ask you from a family standpoint, if you don't mind answering this, was it tough on the family in the beginning, and obviously years later? Are you glad that you all got to connect together to help out on this? So I'm curious.
I had read when I was a teenager about autism, and when I brought it up to the family, they're like, "It's because you were doing all that reading." No,
right, certainly not. That's for sure. But at least you were able to recognize that there could possibly be an issue.
The doctor did not think my husband had an acceptance on it.
Really,
and that's just kind of his personality about it. But shoot, once we got on board, the rules changed in our house.
Really?
Rules changed in our house. And because we wanted to encourage talking, some language may have been inappropriate, but I had to take that. So then, we were able to backtrack and correct it to be appropriate.
It's always a learning curve when you're a parent.
We could do that because we only had one child. So.
Oh, okay. I mean, but it's certainly. I mean, it's always a learning curve anyway, regardless of whether you have a house full. I think as parents, we're always learning and trying to do better. And obviously you guys did fantastic. It seems as though in reading, scientists are trying to figure out what the huge increase in the number of children.
And I don't believe about the vaccines or that.
Actually, I read on the CDC that it's been disproved in numerous studies.
I never believed it.
Well,
that it's not
explain that
related.
side of it, because people, what were you saying, caller, about vaccines? And then Mary, please.
Somebody said something about vaccines were the cause. No, vaccines were not the cause of it.
That was a theory that the CDC addresses and says that has been a theory in the past, and that has been disproved by numerous studies, and also said that it was at one time, many, many years ago, believed to be a precursor to schizophrenia, which since then that theory has been disproved completely as well. So I think that the more that scientists and doctors study and understand autism, especially considering the spectrum is broad, can be from someone that exhibits very few of these symptoms to someone that is has a difficult time functioning and doesn't.
And I'm not going to be. I'm going to be really honest. There are days that yes, she still does have a very difficult time. And, that's when Dad and I know how to deal with it. Sometimes Dad will call me at work and say, you need to have a conversation with her because this is not a good day.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so nice to hear, though, how on board both of you are and what a team unit.
Yeah, and when she's had a lot of support. Grandmas and grandpas have all helped support everybody. The whole family's been on board with it.
I think that's fantastic.
And if she does now, when she does say inappropriate things or stuff, sure, everybody will. Chelsea, you can't say that.
Yeah. I think it's great.
And a really cool book, if you guys like to read books, really cool book that I think really explains it, and it's like point blank, is Look Me in the Eyes. I don't remember the author.
Okay, that's the title, though? Look Me in the Eyes. I think that's a great idea, especially for parents listening out there.
That's about a guy that used to be, he was an engineer for the Kiss band, and now he's running a custom auto shop up in the East Coast, but he really hits the nail on the head as to how they feel.
John Elder Robison.
Oh, good. You just pulled it up.
I just pulled it up right
Fabulous.
now. And there's some great images, and there's a whole thing on this. So this is absolutely phenomenal.
His book really just speaks from his heart. And, I mean, it's totally what I lived. Totally what I lived.
It's important to note, too, that's support and knowing that you're not the only family that deals with some of these things has to be enormously comforting. And in any hurdle, I think, that's comforting to know you're not alone.
And we, from the very beginning, we let my daughter know what her disorder was.
Good.
And what was going on, because we knew she did feel awkward about it. And so she knew from the beginning.
I think that's
and
fantastic.
she once she was able to understand it, probably like about second, third grade. She knew. We explained it to her. We got a really good book from somebody that they passed it to us, and we did as they asked, passed it on to somebody else. But it was just really cool. And she's like, "Okay, that's what's up with me."
That's
okay,
nice.
Fine.
That is so great.
BWJ, please don't use my name. Loving today's Younger Life segment. I'm going to look for that book today. And this is absolutely phenomenal. Your call is not only an inspiration, but just you're a wealth of knowledge. Your, deep life experience with this really helps. And this is what this program, Younger Life, is all about, is bonding with our extended, viewing and listening family and getting insight and learning along the way.
It's so
for
important.
both of
That's
us.
it.
I agree.
mean, Rick and I, we're always learning too. We are not doctors. We say it every day. And we joke about we're not, but we really, I feel like when we're looking at things and talking to each other and to callers and listeners, I feel like we're part of the audience too. We're learning all the time, and it's so important just to have the conversation.
Agree.
And open the topic. I have a very close friend who has actually flipped her world upside down to help her son who is autistic, and I have her in the works. Hopefully later this month she's going to join us and just talk about her own experiences, because
wonderful.
I've always been inspired by her ability to face head on whatever needs to happen and deal with that. And that sounds exactly like what you've done for your daughter.
That's just what you got to do.
Yeah, I
and
love that.
we did put a little can in our kitchen for a while. That's because I can't do that. We didn't have any cans in our house.
I
could
totally
do everything.
I have a child that does not have issues, but continually says, I can't stand it. We're saying, yes, you can. Please do not say that. You can't.
And we put all the cans in the can for a while, and there you go.
That is
was
great.
Non-existent now.
I love that. It is inspiring. I've always hoped that anytime we've faced a challenge as a family, my husband and I, that, to face it, deal with it, and do whatever you need to. It doesn't have to consume your entire life, regardless of what it is. And I think that it sounds so fantastic that you guys have done that and made it to where, although it's clearly affected the way you live your lives, you don't let it take over. You handle it. I think that's
they don't adapt to change and stuff.
Yeah, that was another thing. Is that
we have allowed her to be able to adapt to change.
Yeah,
beautiful.
See, you've done so much for her. That's fantastic. Bravo.
You
Okay,
rock.
you guys have a great day.
Thank you. Good luck
I gotta go
today.
to Chicago.
Yeah,
All right,
good
have a
luck
good one.
today.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
I want to throw this out there.
Yes, please.
219-861-1632 if you want to chime in, you have any questions. And I'm reading this directly off of, I did a search
Yeah.
for the actual Look Me in the Eye.
Yes.
Originally published in hardcover, Random House, but published in '07. And just to kind of throw this out there, the imprint of Random House, Look Me in the Eye, describes how this person, John Elder Robinson, it's Robison, grew up as a misfit in the 60s at a time where his diagnosis did not exist in the
Right.
United States. And this
Very
is kind of
true.
what we were chatting about. And that's a whole other level. The book describes how he learned to fit in without actually knowing why he was different.
Right.
His situation was more complicated. And this is where it gets interesting, Mary. He was neglected and he had an abusive dad and a crazy mother.
That's
And that unto itself, after dropping out of school, he had a sudden fascination with sound engineering and electronics, and his strong interest led him to working with Pink Floyd Sound Company, and he made special effects, as mentioned by our caller, for the band Kiss.
That's so neat.
Anyways, just kind of when he found out what had transpired in his life, and I'm just reading up on this, and I'm not familiar with the book, but I'd love to read it.
Yeah.
At the late age of 39, basically spun him into a whole new category and brought him into a new level of life.
That's great.
But this is what I'm saying. This is what the show is all about here.
Well, and
Younger
this
Life,
is why,
stuff like
it's
this.
so important to point out, this is not a new thing. This has been around, but it's just always not had the same, it's not always been studied the same. And maybe a child would have just been thought to be an ill-behaved child when they weren't. This is just the way that they are. And it can go from very, very minor, again, to exhibiting very few symptoms and it's such an extreme to where they have a difficult time functioning on a daily level. So I think it is extremely fascinating. I know the CDC says, is that for us?
No.
Oh, okay. I know the CDC website says, of course, we do not know all the causes. However, we have learned that there are likely to be multiple causes, many different factors, including environmental, biologic, and genetic factors that they're looking into. Most scientists agree that genes are one of the risk factors that make a person more likely to develop any sort of autism spectrum disorder is exactly what they're saying. Children who have a sibling with autism spectrum disorder are at a higher risk of also having the same condition. It tends to occur more often in people that have certain genetic or chromosomal conditions, such as Fragile X, or there's actually one in tuberous. I've never heard of this. Sclerosis. I don't even know what that is. So anyways, there are different drugs taken during pregnancy or medications taken during pregnancy that increase the risk of child developing autism spectrum disorder. And there's so many different things that what is kind of encouraging on that aspect is that it is becoming, there's always more studies being done. It's much more accepted. And as our caller pointed out, I mean, really, bravo to her and her husband. I feel like that is the goal as parents, to face an issue and deal with an issue rather than bury an issue or make it consume every aspect of your life. Because at that point, then you're not living your life or allowing that child to live their life in a normal way when you let it consume every aspect. So I think they've done such a brilliant job. I love that. And
I want to throw this out there if you don't mind. Frank D
Please.
just texted us and asked, can you ask Mary, or could one of you please give me some signs, potential early signs? So I actually pulled it up, and I know you've got a plethora of
do too.
information.
Go ahead.
But a couple of these to me, and I would love for you to expand on these as well. Not responding to their name. The child may also appear deaf.
wow.
Now that to me is a very interesting spin, and not pointing at objects or things of interest or demonstrating interest. Now you had brought that up
That was
with
one
our
of the
caller,
CDC
and I just
had-
thought, a couple of those.
I found a website, an article on Daily Natural Remedies website.
Sure.
That these are early symptoms. So I think these are probably a little bit younger children. They do, the CDC does comment on the, they could lose a skill that they already had or seem to lose a skill they already had. The disinterest is a very large one. The don't point things out as a typical baby. They don't participate in pretend or play, such as a toddler, you pretend to feed a baby or pet a pretend kitten or puppy, and they don't do that. But this is on this article. Again, this is on daily natural remedies. The earliest symptoms, they have 11 early symptoms. One of them being not smiling or showing other happy expressions is one of them. It says it continues about how, babies can be giggly, laugh, and squeal and stuff from an early age. But if your baby is really not smiling to any, you can't get them to smile. You can't, be silly and get them to smile in a playfulness way between the ages of 6 months to a year. That is a symptom, and you certainly should discuss that with your pediatrician. Number 2, they have listed no eye contact. The lack of eye contact is one of the most recognized symptoms. Now, that doesn't mean if your child doesn't stare you in the eyes,
Right.
it doesn't mean don't freak yourself out.
No, but it's a good sign.
It says
if you see
an early sign of autism
Yes.
in babies and toddlers often involve the absence of normal development. For example, the baby might not make eye contact when you do things such as feed them or play, or they're in general they're interested in faces, but they will not actually look you in the eyes at all. Now, again, they're not going to stare you in the eyes for long, the entire time you feed them or sing them a song. Don't worry. But if you do have a concern, speak to your pediatrician. The lack of babbling or the loss of the babbling, which, a baby talk, is what our caller pointed out. Her daughter had been doing a little babbling, and then that seemed to decrease, whereas her niece that was younger, a little younger, was just talking like crazy. Now, again, every child does develop differently. Even my own children at different levels, you notice are just develop differently. They're all different. But if you notice that their skills seem to be reverting, these reversing back younger, I'm
Sure.
certainly talk to your doctor about it. Or if there's a complete lack of that, talk to them. The deafness was one I had not been aware of.
How about this? How about this one? Other symptoms, just to kind of throw this out there, tying into a number of the things that you're saying here on Younger Life today: short attention span,
Right.
aggression, causing self-injury. That to me is a
That would
interesting
always
one.
be the anytime a child would intentionally harm themselves or someone else on a regular basis, I would absolutely speak to my doctor. And even if it wasn't an autism concern, that's a concern for some reason. Either that doesn't have to be autism. There's many things that could be. They may have a higher pain tolerance and not realize that by, brushing their own hair, they're literally pulling chunks out. I mean, I know that sounds severe, but if there is any sort of that, these are all cases that you should absolutely speak to your doctor. Some of these other very, very early ones, this says displays unusual movements. It says, many babies and toddlers do silly things. That's part of play. Of course they do. But children that have actually fallen on the autistic spectrum disorder realm, they may engage in repetitious movements and motions. They rock back and they might, I should say, this may be one of them, rock back and forth continuously, be a habit of such.
Sure.
They bang their head on things on the
That
floor.
that would be something immediately first time it was out. A parent, a
Oh,
grandparent,
I've had
a
kids
babysitter.
throw a fit. I'll tell you what.
Well,
My own
sure.
children throw a fit. Throw yourself back and think that the noise or them hitting their head like that is going to stop me from, or make me say, oh, whatever you want.
Well,
but I
no,
mean, if
but-
they're doing this as a
Consistently.
yeah, and as a habit, like with the rocking, if that is something that they do. This
Now-
one says hand flipping, which
What is
I'm not
that?
sure what that is. I don't know what that is. I would do this.
That-
I mean, like mentally, I
hand
picture
flipping, yes.
turning your hands.
You're absolutely right.
Up, down, up, down.
Sure.
But this just says hand flipping is very typical of very early children.
Can I ask a question too? They had said outside of the meltdowns and the self-injury, as I'm looking at this from the National Autism Association.org site, for signs and different things, unusual mood or emotional reactions, but unusual eating and sleeping habits. I'm kind of like,
I have heard it's common for some autistic children to need less sleep than other children,
Sure.
to whereas they are not nappers.
Like they're hyper. That's what they use
Well,
the word hyper.
yeah, and even just not nappers,
Sure.
or less sleep at night than a typical. You put your kids to bed at 7:30 or 8 when they're really little, and and they need that sleep. Is this our call?
Yeah.
Our phone.
Totally great. Hi, you're live on the air on Younger Life. Good morning. Who's this? Caller ending in 1743. Feel free to text us, please. Thank you so much for the call. All right. But that is something where, and I know folks, if you want to call in, please feel free.
Please do.
219-861-1632 here on Younger Life. We do this Monday through Friday, 9 to 10, so we love it. But some great information out
Absolutely.
there. And, text messages and emails coming in. Obviously, we know that great folks from the LaPorte Hospital can help and at least maybe kind of give us direction.
Speak to your doctor. There are
Absolutely.
therapies. There are many ways of teaching these children to manage, just like our first caller, with her daughter, again at 25 and leads a very normal life, is so encouraging to know that these are also, wherever your child falls on the spectrum, as once you're able to face it and have that diagnosis and do what needs to be done as far as any sort of therapies or something, it's fabulous that doesn't have to be sad, scary, and overwhelming. It can be managed, and I think that's fantastic. We already discussed the lack of talking and babbling and stuff, but another symptom they said is that a young toddler may make no attempts to actually compensate for their speech delay. Lots of children that don't speak yet, many times it's because older siblings or parents do the speaking for them. They'll point, they will grunt, they will make other noises that says, do this for me. But a child that may be autistic may not try to compensate for not using words. They may not lift their arms up when they want to be picked up or, wave. So I think that's important to point out, that because that's nonverbal communication, that's part of development as well. So if that child's lacking that nonverbal communication, that's also a sign, which is
Here it is.
interesting.
Someone that just tried to pass on there at work.
Okay.
Are there any places that parents can go for diagnosis other than their normal doctors? So I don't know if we could look that up, but I want to throw
will
this
try.
out there in conjunction with this. And someone said other than their normal doctor and or pediatrician. Now, let me throw this out there to you, if you don't mind looking that up for a quick second. They had talked in conjunction with that, and it's a great text here on Younger Life. They were talking about developmental screening.
Right.
So, and I know that's
That's
something
typically done, though, at your doctor.
right.
So I'm trying to figure out if there's actually
And that's a great
a
question.
clinic or something.
Yeah.
As far as I am aware right now, I'm trying to look
And
it
we're
up
not
now. I'm
doctors.
trying. No, we certainly are not. We're learning to.
Absolutely.
We're
Along the way
listeners
with
just
all
on
of
the
you.
microphone. Yeah.
Right.
So I am trying to see if there's actually somewhere else you go, a clinic of sorts that you would. As far as I'm aware of, you would speak to your pediatrician, and then they either
would
have
then-
begin testing or
yes.
send you to a specialist.
Okay.
And I'm trying to see if there's actually specialists.
Okay, you jump on that. I'm going to talk about this for a moment while you're doing that. Developmental screening, they were talking about having a short test to tell if children are learning basic skills, when they should, or if they have like delays, which would kind of put you into a different category.
Yep.
During developmental screenings, the doctors might actually ask the parents some questions or talk and play with the child during somewhat of an exam to see how he or she learns,
Right.
speaks, behaves, and moves. All children should be screened for developmental delays and disabilities during regular well-child doctor visits at the age of 9 months, 18 months, 24, or 30 months. Additional screening might be needed if a child is at high risk for developmental problems due to preterm birth, low birth weight, or other reasons. In addition, just a quick note, and then we'll go back to Mary. All children should be screened specifically for ASDs during regular well-child doctor visits at 18 and 24 months for
Right.
sure. And that comes from the National Autism Association.org site. Love the show. Great information. Really can use this.
I think that's fantastic. And that's really the hope, especially with it being Autism Awareness Month. It's why I'm really hoping what we would like to do, well, my goal is for the rest of the month, is to at least have a pediatrician on once, so people can call and ask their own questions to an actual
Kind of like
doctor.
ask the pediatrician with like ask
Like
the
we do
pharmacist.
our Ask the Pharmacist.
Sure,
So that's what my hope
sure.
is. And then, like I said, I have a very a dear friend that has dealt with this and done amazing at facing it head on and overcoming many obstacles in her own path, but helping her son do the same. So as far as I put in there, is there such a thing as an autism specialist? Okay. And who should actually be the one to diagnose autism? It says that ideally, you know, the theory is your pediatrician should be the one to pinpoint these red flags or behavioral issues when you're speaking to your pediatrician. But some pediatricians, you see so many patients that they make a more generalization of a let's wait and see approach. And at times that delay in treatment can affect the way your child will rebound from any delays that they have. So it says if you really feel as though your pediatrician is not getting this or sees any concern with this, if you are concerned with it, you really need to ask your pediatrician to refer you to an autism specialist. At that point, it says in this website, the worst that's going to happen at that point is your doctor's going to reassess the reasons you want to see a specialist and maybe take more time out with that child only. So there are, you know, before 1990, autism was considered a more rare disorder, although I don't believe that it was. I believe it was just not diagnosed or not enough known about it. So today it's relatively common. There are a few medical professionals that are trained to diagnose and to help treat. So some of these professionals that might be able to assist you with this, if your own pediatrician, if you don't feel like they're really hitting it on the head or we're seeing eye to eye with you, there is a professional called a developmental pediatrician you might want to try to seek out, a pediatric neurologist, a pediatric child psychologist, or a child psychiatrist. And those professionals might be able to at least help guide you. I mean, unfortunately, it sounds as though your pediatrician should always be the first place you start, but it could be quite a path until you find someone that's a good fit. I think that's true with any doctor.
Yeah.
You know, but especially when it's when you're being your child's advocate, you have to be.
Someone just said to you, point this out. Hey, tell Mary that in our school systems, there might be some great folks. There are very knowledgeable people in the MCAS. So for those
I
of you
think that's a great
in the
point.
Michigan City area schools that may be able to refer people to different services, that's
I think that's
phenomenal.
fantastic.
Thank
I
you
know
for
at
that
our
info.
own school, yes, thank you. I know that at our own school, they do, if they're noticing flags, it does go from teacher to
Sure.
a discussion with teacher, principal, and, you know, the school counselor, and then they bring parents and other professionals involved if they feel that that's an issue. I think most of this information that we're reading about is directed at prior to school ages. But I think it's important to point out that not everybody notices these things or chooses to hope to ignore them with the hope that they go away.
You know what?
And so if a child slips through till school age, I think that's a great point to point out. Our schools will help in that.
Yeah, and
guide
Carla
you.
just sent over that she is also affected. Great show. She said there's a gentleman named Chris Ulmer who is a special education teacher, founder, special books for children, and that she's going to be attending a conference actually.
He's an author then?
Yeah, and,
Okay.
and I'd love to try to connect with him. There's a National Autism Conference coming up in New Orleans, which will be September 8th through the 11th.
Wow.
And, you know, if we want folks to bond on that would be great. We have time for one quick call and a follow-up. Hi, you're on Younger Life. Morning.
Good morning. I was talking earlier, but yes, Michigan City Area Schools has a wonderful autism
Great.
team and autism help.
Great.
Awesome.
It
They
is
have,
nice to
They
know that.
have. I mean, I got so much information from them, and then, you know, whatever.
That is great. Thanks for that insight.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Have a great day.
All right. So, I mean, that is really
It is,
phenomenal.
and it is nice to know. Like I said, I know we don't go to Michigan City schools, but I know our school is proactive in trying to diagnose these things because the earlier intervention of any issues that you yourself or your child experiences, the sooner it's addressed, the more likely that it will be overcame.
And don't
at
be
least to
afraid
some-
by it.
That's what
You
I
know
mean.
what I mean?
I feel
Don't be
like,
afraid, bond.
especially school age, a lot of times, people are a little resistant. Nobody wants to hear that their child is not developed exactly as they thought they would. But it doesn't really matter. The fact is, face the issue, whatever the issue is.
Head on.
And I feel like, our caller, she's just been awesome. And I feel like the reason her daughter has done so well, because she's so receptive to this information as well. It isn't just afraid to face it, afraid to deal with it. I think it's important to point that out.
Awesome. One of the things is we kind of come to a wrap here with a
Yeah.
couple minutes left. We've got a whole bunch of stuff that's upcoming on the show.
Mm-hmm.
On a different spin, we've got Ask the Pharmacist coming up next week.
Right.
And I know that in the next several days, we're going to be talking about, just because we had a lot of people, in the input from when my dog passed earlier this week, and
Mm-hmm.
something we talked about, losing an animal and different things like that. We're going to put a different spin. We're going to invite in a local area mentor, kind
Mm-hmm.
of a person that's going to talk to us a little bit about animals and different things with that. That'll be in
be
upcoming
tomorrow.
shows. Yeah, that'll be really, really fun.
Yeah, that'll be great. And again, I know discussing this autism, I apologize for those calls we couldn't get to, or those questions we couldn't answer, or honestly the answers that we don't have because we
Right.
aren't the professionals. We're just the audience too.
The
You know what I
moderators.
mean? So I feel like this will be addressed more this month, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's important. It is a great topic, so stay tuned for that. And as soon as we can nail down some of those dates with a pediatrician, or I really would love to get a behavioral therapist in here that deals with some of the hands-on therapies that these
Sure.
children go through to assist in bringing their developmental skills up to par. So I think we've got just a ton of great information, and I appreciate everybody's input. It just reassures us to know what an important topic it really is. So.
Whether you're listening online, listening to the radio, maybe you're viewing it as well, and we want to throw that out there. Well, a great time. So upcoming pieces will we took it on the road. We'll give you the insight to that as well.
Hopefully that'll be Friday.
And we're always in for folks giving us, input about what they might want to see.
Anything
or hear.
you want to hear
Sure.
about. Yeah, if there's a crazy exercise thing you've heard about and you want us to try it and
I'll
talk
do it.
about it,
We'll do it.
We're pretty much game, unless it's like gonna really hurt, like
Unless it's like Rick Federici being
leeches
thrown
or
in a
something
chair,
gross.
being thrown
You know what I
downstairs.
mean? Or let
Rick
us
will
know
do
though.
that. That's
That
what
would
Mary
be
said.
great.
Rick will do that. But
funny.
yesterday was kind of interesting as we wrap this up. The one gentleman, the police officer that had the attack dog jump on his arm. Oh my gosh, the commands. And I said, that thing jumped up. It was a giant German Shepherd. And he's
Yeah.
like holding it like this, and it was crazy.
Yeah, it was very cool.
That was really, really fun.
It was good.
But, well, on behalf of us all at the Younger Life team production crew, thanks to Alex Bassett, I'm Rick Federici.
I'm Mary Anthony.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
AM 1420, WIMS, Michigan City, a Girard Media Company station.